I think Bill just embraces the unconventional, enigmatic, I'm so mysterious, you never know what I'm going to do approach. And I think that last night was illustrative of it. And sometimes it can blow up in his face, whether it be putting Malcolm Butler down during the Super Bowl because you don't think that Nick Foles is going to put up 41, or not taking the Chicago Bears seriously enough to decide that you're going to put Mac out there for a few series and knock the rust off, and then bring Bailey in and then see how it's going, and bring Mac in a little bit more, knock some more rust off. I really think that this was a spectacle invited by Bill that he didn't anticipate. And all the confusion, I think, actually ends up leading to a conclusion. And the conclusion is, okay, let's stop jacking around, put Mac Jones back where he's supposed to be. Bailey turned into a pumpkin. We'll see how he looks next summer, but let's just cut it out.
So it's Mac's gig moving forward, you believe, despite the hypothetical?
I mean, what I found, and if you guys have a chance, find the sound from Mac Jones in the postgame. It's his second to last answer.
Okay.
And he is so almost appreciative to Bill of the communication, saying Bill was very, very good in communicating what last night was going to be to me. Bill didn't tell the rest of the team, and I don't even think he told Bailey Zappe, but he did tell Mac Jones, look, this is how we're going to do it. So he was so appreciative. And Mike Florio reported something saying that Mac was out there for 95% of the snaps in some practices, and he was really, really pressing Bill. I wonder if Bill said, all right, the Bears, get him out there. He does need the work. We're not going to go the whole night with him. He wants to play. Give him an opportunity to prove to his teammates that he's tough enough. What's the worst that could happen? The worst happened.
Mm-hmm. I mean, everything you just said makes complete sense, down to the fact where Belichick doesn't care that, the 24/7, 365 media machine is churning this thing up today. That doesn't matter a damn thing to him. Certainly if he's communicating what he's communicating, and on his weekly radio appearance on the Greg Hill show today, he was asked point blank about the lack of communication, that a bunch of players didn't know what was going on. He's like, I spoke to the quarterbacks and I spoke to the team leaders, so, and then that's that. And I guess now it's Jet Week. Moving on.
Yeah,
moving on to the Jets.
And how do you proceed? I mean, the interesting thing is you have a team that had beaten or performed well against the Packers, beat the hell out of the Lions, beat the hell out of the Browns, had developed some enthusiasm. They were 3-3, and they had an opportunity against another perceived patsy to show everybody, hey, we're not like those other teams that are 3-3. We're the Patriots, and we have a guy who just passed George Hallis. Gosh darn it, over here on our sidelines. And they get absolutely rolled. It was one of the weirdest nights, I think, Rich, of Bill Belichick's Hall of Fame coaching career, I would think.
Give me more on that. What was it like in the building? What was it like?
I was in the studio, but I just talked to Phil Perry, who was there. We did our podcast together, and he said that the Zappe chants began as murmurs. There was an incompletion to Damian Harris, basically hit Damian Harris in the face mask, and there was a little bit of Zappe. Justin Fields gets him in the end zone before the Patriots had even had an opportunity to have a possession, and there was some Zappe chants, and then it got deafening. Which leads me to the question, Rich. Bill Belichick stated a plan to Lisa Salters of ESPN that he would have brought Mac Jones back in the second half to score, get away from him. Imagine if he brought Mac Jones back in with the Patriots leading 23-21 in the fourth quarter, and it didn't go good. I mean, they're actively kneecapping the kid, even if they're not trying to, at every turn, whether it's replacing the offensive coordinator, changing the offense, telling him to throw it downfield, then getting pissed off because of the picks, or just promoting Bailey Zappe by not promoting him.
Well, I guess the dual quarterback plan that is just weird on its face, because if he's healthy enough to play and start, and he's healthy enough to practice as much as Mike Florio reported he was practicing, and he's healthy enough to protect himself from Roquan Smith et al., then he gets removed from the game, and he gets removed from the game after throwing an interception. And I totally understand that perception matters not within the Patriots world, because Belichick has his own world that he's created there. And that also is very helpful to move on to Cincinnati back in the day, and also move on from play to play and game to game. And it's proven to be immensely successful, obviously. But there still is a perception within the temples of Mac Jones, right? I know he said Belichick isn't concerned about his confidence, but to make that move then does make it look like it was due to performance. It really does.
Yeah,
Tom.
And when we refer to the tradition of, moving on, when you have a force of nature at quarterback who infuses the entire team, which does have some Hall of Fame level players like Gronkowski and Edelman, defensive players like Dante Hightower and Devin McCourty, it's different. Now you've kneecapped a player who you have christened a leader, talked about as a leader, talked about his dramatic improvement, and then kind of castrated him in front of the team. I mean, his teammates, Jacoby Myers, said that he thought it was ugly, didn't like the way that it fleshed out at all. So, yes, Bill can maintain that he is above it all, that he'll ignore the noise and expects his team to do so as well. But, I mean, to use the term that's in vogue, I think I'd like to have this one back.
Maybe so. Mm-hmm. I know, but I just keep thinking of like way back to Lawyer Malloy, right? And Tom Jackson talking about on ESPN all those years ago the way that Belichick treated Lawyer Malloy is going to lose the locker room and the Patriots are nothing and because of it, or not a championship quality team because of it, and we all know what happened. That it just seems like it's just like one big Mad Lib. You could just keep changing the names. But now the result might be different, and I'm wondering, is there any conversation like that in New England about the defraying of the "In Bill We Trust" scenario in New England right now?
I think it was really well articulated, Rich, at the owners' meetings when Robert Kraft said, "We haven't won a playoff game in 3 years, and I'm very impatient. I'm a Patriots fan, big time," and he then alluded to a 3-year playoff drought, and he spoke openly of the Patriots' draft failures in previous years. And, I think it remains in Bill he trusts, but he wants to see some results. And between the unconventionals, which is something Robert Kraft pointed out as well, construction of the coaching staff, and now, I don't want to call it castration again, but the kneecapping of the quarterback that you were kind of christening as your next leader, I would imagine that there continue to be questions. Look, it's been a good year. We're at 6 o'clock last night, the Patriots arrow was pointing up with a bullet. Now, not so much. So we don't want to overcorrect to say it's a disaster, but
right.
He's got some work to do this week, Bill does.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free. Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.